A good Friday to one and all. Welcome back, and welcome to another episode 3 of Sometimes the Old Man is Right. I am your host, Lamont Ferguson, as always, playing the role of the old man. As my father, Lancelot Russell Ferguson, would say, what's the good word? What's the good word? That was his greeting. It's like a before what's up or what's happening. It was a more fancy way of saying those phrases. So that's what he would say. That's how he would greet me. So I'm going to greet you by saying, what's the good word? I hope you're well. Lancelot Russell Ferguson. That was his name, Lancelot Russell. I'm pretty sure the last black man on earth named Lancelot. Or it could be the last person named Lancelot. That's a name that you don't hear. No one, I have not seen a baby Lancelot. I've never been introduced to a baby Lancelot. There are some Lances out there. Lance Bass, he's relatively young. I don't know if his name is Lancelot, though. Lance Stevenson, basketball player. But anyway, welcome. I thank you fine folks for returning once again. I've renewed my contract. I come at you again for another episode. I'm going to tell you, I am not as fired up as I was last week. Or I'll be truthful, that was the case that was supposed to be. Like I wasn't, when I put all the notes together for this week's episode, I really wasn't as fired up. Because there wasn't a whirlwind of activities like the previous week. There was no Olivia birthday, there was no Universal Studios and going to play. It was just a regular week of me doing what I normally do during the week. The main thing is getting Olivia ready to walk to and then pick up from school. That was about it. Nothing else. Went to the store a couple of times. Nothing else got me all fired up. Until yesterday. And then there was a few hours yesterday where my head was racing. And I was riled up about something that I didn't want to be riled up about. To tell you the truth, I really didn't. Where do I start? Let me start by saying that I'm not a fan of social media in general. I believe it was a horrible invention and at the same time the greatest invention. It is, and I'm in the podcasting business now. That's you got to use that social media. So social media is a necessary evil tool is what I believe it to be. I think we should put it on trial. I believe that's what we should do with social media. Because I am now a big fan of debate. I like debate. I like the whole aspects of debate with points and counterpoints and arguments and the strategy and defense. Because, I'm into sports. So it's like boxing without the fear of actually getting punched. And it's something that I'm into now. Like, I wasn't into it before. I don't even know if we had a debate team in high school. But it was, even if we did, it wasn't something I was into. I have found that as I get older, there are things that I wasn't into that I'm now into. I couldn't stand history when I was younger. And now I am fascinated by history. And I wasn't into debate when I was younger, and now I am. Now I'm at a debate to a point where there have been times I think, maybe I should be a lawyer. Because these are the thoughts. There are other times I thought maybe I should be a doctor. Because these are the thoughts you have when you're 56 years old. You start thinking about, well, maybe I should have this profession. 40 years too late. Although that would be a very interesting show. Because we always have the shows where the opposite thing. Hey, it's a kid doctor. What about the old man doctor? Here's your doctor, the 68-year-old first year resident. Although I would get the benefit of the doubt of trust because I'm older. Like, that's the whole thing on those other shows with the Doogie Howser and shows, is that they don't trust him because he's young. And then it would be the opposite for my show, because I would get a lot of trust because I'm old, and yet I would be new to the thing. So anyway, I'm not a fan of social media. I have what I believe is a good policy, and that is a no scroll policy. And that means that when I go on to social media, no scrolling, no flicking up of the thumb, none of that, because it's easy to do. It's easy to, hey, let me just roll that thumb up and just keep on going. I have a post only, read reaction to the post only sign on policy. That's it. That's all I need to do. You post what you need. If somebody reacts to that post, puts a comment, you post. Then you go and read that post. But other than that, no scrolling. It is hard. I'm not saying I always adhere to it. This is part of the problem of why I'm all fired up today, is because I didn't adhere to it. And I should learn the lesson. I'm old enough to learn the lesson that scrolling just makes you angry. It takes away time, and it makes you angry. You don't scroll, guess what? More even-keeled, much happier. So this brings me to why. Dave Chappelle released a special yesterday, or what it was, the 5th, October 5th. He released a special, The Closer, on Netflix. Now, I watched it, and I enjoyed it. And that should be the end. This is one of the other things I miss in life. And by the way, I'm going to have a sound effect or some type of music drop whenever I start doing old man-isms, because this is about to be an old man-ism. I miss in life when you could experience something, enjoy it, and then move the hell on with your life. Because that's what it is. I experienced this. I enjoyed it. Now I'd like to move on. But what happens now is you'll experience something, you'll enjoy it, and then someone on social media, a person, a group, a loud person, that's really what it should be. It's a loud person or a group will then post why you shouldn't have enjoyed it. I like most movies. I enjoy most movies. I enjoy the movie experience. I enjoy the escape from life. I put myself right in that role. Whatever it is on that screen, I enjoy it. I enjoy like I said, the movie experience, the popcorn and the drink. I love it. There have been times I've actually gone to the movies just for the popcorn. Go there and see whatever's up on the screen. Let's go. I remember one specifically that I didn't go to see the movie. I went because I wanted popcorn. And I ended up seeing the movie, and the movie was decent. Hope Floats, Sandra Bullock, Harry Connick Jr. Anyone? I watched it. I wanted popcorn. I got Hope Floats, and I didn't mind it. I enjoyed it. So whatever's on the screen, I am there for it. I am not there to critique the writing, the acting, the lighting. No, I'm not there for that. I'm there for the escapism of the movie. If I were to list the movies that I thought were bad movies that I went to see, I could list them on one hand and probably have one or two fingers left over. That's it. I'm there for the whole thing. This is another thing about social media that I've discovered that I didn't know was a thing. Apparently there is a clamoring, a hankering, and an abundance of people who have had lifelong dreams of being film critics. And they all thank goodness for the invention of social media so they can live out their dream. Just as verbose as you'd ever want to see a human being be verbose on the critique of a film. Here's the thing that annoys me: unsolicited. It's the unsolicited film critiques that I don't get. I don't understand. Who asked them? If you showed me a thread that said, person A said, "Hey, has anyone seen this movie?" And then the person said, "Well, I've seen that movie." And then the person A said, "Well, then could you submit a written, lengthy report of your opinion of that movie?" I'd appreciate it. Okay, then I get that. If I saw that thread, I would go, perfect. There's a reason for this. But that's not what happens on social media. It becomes a person just posting, "I saw this movie, and now here are my thoughts." And it's a lot of thoughts. They always have a lot of thoughts. There's never a 1 or 2 sentence thought. It is multi-paragraphic thoughts. I don't even know if that's a phrase or word, but it needs to be. It's the see more thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Where you scroll down and now they've reached the maximum volume that will put into that particular window. So it's see more. You got to click on the hyperlink that says see more, and then it'll expand the frame. You know what I click on it for? I click on it what it should say, because it should say, "See how much more." That's what it should say. See how much more is spewing out of my head. It's always way too much. If it's a sentence or two, then I'm like, all right, I'm good. I'll read that. But if I got to keep scrolling and scrolling, then I start judging you. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you that you think that people have the time to invest in this part of your thoughts? This should be a phone call, is what this should be. Not you. Is it being graded? What? I wrote things in college that didn't require see more. So the people have gotten in on it. They've given their opinion. This is what I think of the Chappelle special. This is why you shouldn't like the Chappelle special. This is what Chappelle was really trying to say. I watched it. I enjoyed it. I would like to move on. I don't understand the whole critiquing of art in the first place. It's art, and I know it's stand-up comedy, which doesn't get the credit as being art that it should, but it is. Even if you consider it the lowest entry level of show business, it's still art. And anyone who has tried it will tell you it is the most difficult of all the art forms. A person on stage trying to get a group of strangers to laugh. That's what it boils down to. And it's very difficult. The problem why people feel the need that they are all qualified to critique it is because they have participated in one of the two aspects of stand-up comedy. We have all said something funny amongst our friends that got them to laugh. We have all spoken. That's the two aspects, speaking and getting a laugh. It's combining those two to people that you don't know that makes it very complicated. Stand-up comedy is the one art form that is both objective and subjective, and those two things don't necessarily mesh together. That's what makes it complex. It is subjective because not everything is funny to every person. It's just not. Depends on your life path, where you're coming from. You may not find it funny. The objective is to get a laugh, yes, but what if those two things don't coincide? Then you become the critic that says it wasn't funny. You know how many times I've received reviews for either shows I've produced or shows that I've performed on where someone has said, "I don't know what the other people were laughing at." That statement in itself should be the end of your review because you're not in the proper space. You don't know what other people were laughing at. Well, part of it is to be the objective and to get a laugh. So therefore, that part was accomplished with other people. So therefore, it was achieved by the person sitting next to you. It wasn't achieved by you. We always want to be the arbitrator. We always want to be the constant. We never want to be the variable. I don't know what other people were laughing at. Well, maybe if you put, I didn't find it funny. It wasn't for me. And then move on. Then what do you have to write about? Go write about something else. But we never want to be the variable. When in life, we are all the variable. Every one of us is the variable. The thing I also think that if you were to put social media on trial, which I believe it should be, that's where my love of debate comes in. If social media were to win and come out with a victory, that the merits of social media outweighed the detriments of social media, it would be a very close match. It would be extremely close. It would be a decision where you would go, man, I don't know. It wouldn't be one where it's like completely overwhelming. It would not be a unanimous decision. Because you can just list some of the points of social media and go, man, this is a horrible, horrible thing. Like I said, it's a necessary evil. But there's a lot of evil. It made one thing, it made bullying very convenient. That alone, that's if I were in the lawyer fighting against the prosecuting lawyer on this particular trial, fighting against social media, that would be my leading argument, is that it's made bullying very convenient. Now, there have always been bullies. This goes way back. There's always been bullies. Back to the beginning, there's been bullies. And we had movies in the 70s about bullies because the only way to deal with bullies was you stood up to the bully. You had to punch the bully in the face. That's the way to deal with the bully. And then somehow the bully gains your respect. You gain the bully's respect if you punch the bully in the face. The only two options were that. Punch him in the face or ignore him. Or just continue being bullied. Those are your three things with bullying. And social media now has made bullying so convenient. You can bully without ever getting dressed. At least before you had to get dressed. You had to go out. You had to meet the person. If you wanted to bully, you had to make an effort. You can bully in your underpants now. Sit right there in front of your computer and just bully in your underpants. You don't have to do anything. It's 24/7. You used to get into an argument and you'd be in your car and you think, oh, what I should have said was this. Ooh, that'd have been good. That's what social media is made for bullying, is that you don't have to ever have that thought of what I should have said was this. Because you can just hop right online and go ahead and say this. It doesn't matter. Go right ahead and say it. You didn't miss it. The argument never stops with social media. So that's my main point. That would say, hey, maybe we should get rid of it because of the bullying. If you're dependent on the good natured of humans, good luck with that. You know how bad social media is? It made David Attenborough quit social media. Do you know who David Attenborough is? He's the voice of all those nature documentaries that you watch. Very proper Englishman and just perfect for that. The dude loves nature. He got on Instagram for about a week and then quit. I was so excited when I saw that David Attenborough was on Instagram. I followed him immediately because this guy only wanted to share his gift of knowledge of the world, of nature, with that soft voice and perfect. And I'm pretty sure it was social media trolls and bullies that dude's like, hey, I'm in my 80s. Why do I need this shit? And then he was out. David Attenborough. What so you can understand my despisal of social media, the necessary evil tool that it is. So that's what had me up and debating, and I don't even want to get into the particulars of it with the Chappelle thing. I did, and then I don't. As I'm talking, I realize I will just say exactly what I said. I watched it, I enjoyed it, and now I'll move on. The week for me had other things that took place within the week. I went to a Hall & Oates concert. That was enjoyable. Again, I watched it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the nostalgia of it. I enjoyed the good feeling of that it prompted in me. Because that's what music is. Music is related to emotion. It's related to a time and space in your life that song came on, and it relates to that, and that's what takes people back to those moments. That's what it is. A friend of mine, I posted just a clip while I was there at the concert, and he said, "Oh, these old bands shouldn't be singing anymore. They need to lip sync. Thanks for ruining my childhood." Why? Because it didn't sound like you remembered how it sounded on a radio where they had multiple takes to get it to one particular thing? It's live entertainment after a pretty much close to 2-year lockdown. And Daryl Hall and John Oates are in their 70s, and they're still out there doing what they do. I'm like, I stand up and applaud that. As a performer myself, I would only hope to be able to be at 70. To one, there was an audience that wanted to see me, and two, that I could still perform well enough to where people were like, yeah, we enjoyed that. Yeah, I know, Daryl Hall can't hit the same high notes that he used to. Maybe because he's 74 years old. That's part of it. The fact that he can get out there and play the piano and the guitar and sing, kudos to you. Thank you to Hall & Oates. Thank you to the Rolling Stones. Thank you to all these artists who are just doing what they do. Because that's all you want to do as an artist. You just want to, you know what? I just want to go out and tell some jokes to people. That's it. I just want an audience that's there, that's appreciative, that is willing to go on the journey with me and tell some jokes. I just want to go out and play some music. That's it. So I had a good time. It was very enjoyable. It was quite a sight to see because, you know, I'm one of the few minorities that was there. There might have been more black people in the band than in the audience, is how it was at a Hall & Oates concert. And boy, it is something when you see white people cut loose. That is a sight to behold. And I say good for them. Good on you, folks. You do whatever that dance is that you're doing with your hands and hips. I don't know what it is. Just clap on the beat, because otherwise it looks bizarre. I had posted about something that had to do with music. Oh, David Lee Roth. David Lee Roth announced his retirement. So David Lee Roth was a presenter at the Video Music Awards for MTV. I forgot what the category was. I guess I could have looked it up before I started recording, but I didn't. The award went to Lil Nas X. And there was a moment there where David Lee Roth says, and the winner is Lil Nas X. And Lil Nas X comes up. And David Lee Roth has that look in his eye like, what are we going to do? Is this a hug moment? Is it a bro handshake moment? What are we going to do in this moment when you pass by me to go to the podium to give your speech? And what it became was a non-moment. because Lil Nas X just walked right on past David Lee Roth like he was an usher. And I had posted saying that Lil Nas X has no idea who David Lee Roth is, which is a funny comment because it was the truth. He didn't know who he was. It was obvious. That dude is one of the greatest frontmen of a band that you've ever seen. David Lee Roth is in the category, he's in the conversation as the greatest frontman of a band that you'll ever see. Van Halen and David Lee Roth was a sight to behold. So he is someone, a pioneer in the music industry. Lil Nas X could be, we don't know, it's new. So it was a very interesting moment where he just walked right past him and David Lee Roth had a look on his face like, what? Okay, I guess that's what we're doing. We're doing the I don't know who you are. And then, last week David Lee Roth announced his retirement from show business. I don't know if the two had anything to do with each other, but I wish David Lee Roth well. But that was a funny moment that I tied together because David Lee Roth probably is thinking, you know what, dude? The VMAs, I helped build this. The reason that you can get this award, the reason that there is this award is because I had something to do with building this. And Lil Nas X went, whatever, Usher. Thank you. And I don't mean Usher as in the singer. I mean Usher as in the dude that seats people. And he just walked right past him. But I mentioned that, and a friend of mine, but by the way, it's the same friend. He posted, I don't know who Lil Nas X is, never heard of him. That is a old person thing. Because one of the tools that old people use to discredit anything that is new is by saying that they've never heard of them. That's always the tool. It's the go-to. It's in the old person handbook. Number thing, want to discredit it? Say that you've never heard of them. Well, there's a lot you've never heard of because you haven't paid attention to things in the past 20 years. That's what makes you old. I don't try hard to pay attention to things. I just pay attention to things. I'm not the old person trying to be hip. If something's around, I kind of pay attention, maybe do a little research on it. But it's always funny to me that it's an old person tactic. Well, I'd never heard of them, so they must not be anything. Okay, all right. Well, young people have never really heard of diabetes, all right? They never heard of the medication that you have to take, so it must not be important or exist either. I will say there's another thing that is bothering me. It is the plethora. I had spoken about white folks at the Hall & Oates concert earlier. I'll try to tie into that. There is a plethora of interracial commercials that are happening on television now. Enough with it. Enough. And I'm a black man, and I'm saying we're trying too hard. I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing, Madison Avenue, and you are trying way too hard. If someone had gone into a coma 15 years ago and then woke up like today, they'd think that everyone in America was in an interracial relationship by the commercials that are on TV. I have lost track of them. I had a list, which I may pull up, the list of interracial commercials. Behr is one of them, B-E-H-R, the paint company. The Expedia is another. Here's what the makeup is always. It's a black man, white woman. Black man, white woman. That's all they can come up with. It's a black husband, white wife, mixed race children. And I get it. You're trying to make it seem that it's, if we normalize it, then it won't be such a big deal. But the problem is that you're trying too hard to normalize it, because now it just leaves questions. It leaves a lot of questions of why this, I've seen one. There's one where there's a white man and a black woman, and I applaud that one because it seems to be counter to the other abundance of black men, white women commercials that are going on. I feel bad for black women because what you've done is you've made them disappear. It's like, okay, well, they can't even be in a commercial. You can't have a black, make it a black couple. Or black man, Latino woman. That's a Latino couple. Very rarely you'll see the Asian couple. Black man, Asian woman, Asian man, black woman. If you're going to go that far, then you need to start doing everything. But the abundance of black man, white women commercials as the couple, it's a bit much. And it's not helping race relations. It is not at all. You're making white races just angry. And you're making black women angry, which deservedly so. And you're making me just question everything. There's a Sonic commercial where there's a white kid, it's a white woman, black guy, and they're obviously some type of unit. I don't know if they're married, I don't know if they're dating, but it is a very interesting dynamics that go on there because I believe somewhere they need to pan that camera to the left and you'll see former white husband very angry. Very, very angry. I will close out with a story. That's how we'll close out this episode. I thank you once again for tuning in. I don't know if this even had a theme. Just more contemplating, pontificating. So we'll go with Olivia. So I will tell you this. 2 Christmases ago, my wife's cousins purchased a hamster for Olivia for Christmas. Now, I was a little annoyed at this because you can tell me whether or not I'm right or tell me whether or not I owe a close to 3-year-old apology. I was annoyed because I thought this is a thing that should be a we talk to the parents decision. Because if you buy a then 6-year-old a hamster, you're not buying a 6-year-old a hamster. You're buying the family a project. That's what you're doing. So I would think this would be a thing. Hey, we are thinking of giving Olivia a hamster. Is that all right with you? More than not, the answer would have been yes. But it's just the idea that it wasn't discussed that slightly annoyed me. And I have other people in my life that have done this. This is another stance that I make on this. I've had people, my son Noah, who is 19 now, but when he was young, I had someone buy him a drum set. I think he was 7. They bought him a drum set. I'd be like, you know what? You should just say to my face that you don't want to be friends with me anymore. Because that's what you're saying when you buy a 7-year-old a drum set. It's saying, 1, I don't have kids, and 2, I don't want to be your friend because I would like to cause you this type of annoyance in your life. So they buy Olivia a hamster. So, all right, I'm into this. All right, we got a hamster. As I said, it becomes a project for everyone in the household because a 6-year-old's not taking care of a hamster. A 6-year-old doesn't care or think about what is involved in the upkeep of an animal. She came in and named it. Your name is Snowby. And then she's done. That was the extent of her participation. I named it, and I'll look at it every so often. Well, the past few months leading up to this past Thursday, Snowy really wasn't Snowy's self. Snowy was very lethargic. Snowy would take a lot of naps. Snowy would be asleep during times that hamsters would be active. I remember early on, Snowy would be on that hamster wheel in the middle of the night. Snowy hadn't been on that wheel in a long time. Snowy was just lethargic and slow. So I looked it up. I never had a hamster because I'm black. And that's just not a thing that happens in the 1970s black household. Lancelot Russell Ferguson didn't have a good word for hamsters. So I look it up on the internet, and it's what I thought. I thought, oh, these are the final days of Snowy. Snowy's seeing the light and heading towards that light. But I didn't tell anyone. They would just watch and see Snowy, and I just tried to make the best of the days, the final days for Snowy. So Thursday I wake up, I take a look, and Snowy's not moved. Snowy's in the same position that Snowy was in the last time I saw Snowy, the night before. Now this is not that out of the ordinary. I've seen Snowy be in the same position before. The first thing I do is I check to make sure Snowy was still breathing. Still breathing. Good to go. This time I looked closely. There's no movement. That rib cage is not expanding. I check. Snowy's eyes are open. Snowy's dead. Snowy has passed away. It's that moment that you had been dreading. Because not only was I given a hamster as a project for the family, but now we have to teach a now 8-year-old the facts about death and loss. And I don't know whether or not that's something that you're prepared. That's something you should make that decision, right? As a parent, hey, I'm going to make the decision. Or if a grandparent passes away, that's when you go ahead and do that. So now it's forced upon me. Now I've got to tell this kid about death and how the life cycle works and mourning and loss and coping and grief. So it's all not making me too happy. So now I got to figure how am I going to do this? What's going to happen? I've already dropped Olivia off at school. When do I do this? So I go to walk to pick her up. It's an 8.5 minute walk to the school. 8.5 minute back, 8.5 minutes there. So on the walk back, this is all on my mind. What am I going to tell her? When am I going to tell her? Do I tell her on the walk? Do I ruin her walk? Because now the anxiety of it becomes, she's got to see it. She's got to see. Because if you'd said, hey, Snowy died, now you're like, oh my goodness, what happened? I want to see Snowy. I want to see it. That's what happens with people. So I don't tell her. I figure I'm just going to tell her when she sees it. We get into the house. She walks by Snowy's living cage environment at least 4 times. Never even looks at Snowy, never even cares. So I think, well, now I got to tell her. I have to break this to her. She's not even paying attention to Snowy. So I tell her, hey, Olivia, I have something to tell you. Something serious to tell you. And she says, what is it? And I said, Snowy passed away. And it doesn't process. It doesn't process because she's 8. She doesn't know the formal, polite term of that. Snowy passed away. And because I said passed away, because earlier I had sent a text to my wife to tell her Snowy passed away, and then I got more annoyed because as I was typing it, I'm like, how the hell do you spell Snowy? I don't even know how Snowy is spelled. Is it snow and then a B? Is it snow B-E-E? I don't know. I don't know how Snowy is spelled, and that's made me more annoyed. But I've told Olivia Snowy's passed away. She turns around, she looks, and she realizes, oh, Snowy's dead. And then the waterworks take place. And now I'm trying to be a good parent. Because like I said, I didn't have a hamster. We had a dog. And with black people back then with dogs, all the dog had to do was make a couple of mistakes and they just got rid of the dog. The dog would be at the pound. And then, boom, I got to get rid of that dog. And I would take care of the dog. It's not like I didn't. But it's just the patience. So I'm trying to be a better generation. A better generation of parent. Being a caring, kind parent. Nurturing, understanding. Trying to do that. So I give her a hug. I tell her it's going to be okay. I said Snowy had a good life. Snowy had a really good life. It was the average life of hamsters should be. It was a little under 3 years or a little closer to 3 years, as a matter of fact. So saying that's a good life. You did good. Snowy probably died happy, had a good home. So she goes away for a while, and I see her sitting on the couch, and she's distraught. But she's reading on her phone. So I think, all right, this is my parent moment. Step up and be a parent right now. Go over here and take care of this. Be the hero in this story. I said, you okay, Olivia? You want to talk about it? And she just shows me her phone. And on the phone is an article. She's reading an article. She's 8. And the article is entitled, the headline I see is, "My Pet Died. How Do I Move On?" And I thought, what in the world is happening here? She shows me the search engine that she punched in to get to this article. It said, she typed in, "Hey Google, my hamster died. Can you cheer me up?" And I thought, you son of a bitch, Google. You were trying to hone in on my parenting moment? Like parenting isn't hard enough, and now Google is trying to step in like the black boyfriend in a Sonic commercial? You son of a bitch, Google. How dare you? So I found it interesting. I found it humorous. I found it humorous also because of the fact that she kind of eliminated the middleman. That I probably would have gone ahead and looked it up and saw if there were things on there. So she just eliminated the middleman. But Google made that possible to eliminate the middleman of parenting. And I don't know how I feel. I don't know how I feel about that. But she got through it. Her brother buried Snowy out in the front yard, which I Googled, that is illegal. But now we're good. She doesn't want another hamster. She said when we move, she would like to get a dog. I said that's fine, because she would then be at an age where she could actually take care of the dog. But that is what happened this week in the life of me. I thank you for tuning in. I thank you for listening to whatever this nonsense was for episode 3. I look forward to what takes place this week. I'll be on stage a couple of times, so there might be some more things that annoy me. These are the upcoming appearances. October 22nd and 23rd, I'll be at the Ventura, that's tough to say, Ventura Harbor Comedy Club in Ventura, California. If you want tickets to that or any information, because I have a lot of information, you can check out my YouTube show, which is The Now Normal, or the other segments, which is What I'm Saying Is. All of this information is available on my website, lamontferguson.com. If you want to drop an email to the show, you can do that. oldmanisright@gmail.com. I just set that up. So you can drop off an email. Say what's up. Ask me what the good word is. Every Friday, episodes will be dropped. I'm going to stick with that. I think that that's how we do say it, that episodes will be dropped every Friday. As always, I thank you so, so kindly. Spread the word. Subscribe, whatever it is that you need to do. Tell your friends. I wish you a great week. As always, there's a lot of thoughts going on here. A lot of thoughts that may be misguided, have some misinformation. But sometimes the old man is right. I'll see you next week.